Hey, what's up, guys? It's Abe. I'm on chess.com playing a 15-10 match against Dan 1199 591. So it looks like we have a Caro-Kann. I'll play the main line. And I like playing knight c3 here. Something I want to focus on in this game is being explicit in my thinking about identifying candidate moves and making value judgments on those candidate moves. So once I'm not familiar with the position, I would like to, as an exercise for myself, for my own improvement, to try to do that and just bring you guys along on that process. So, okay, so here I know h4, h5 is sometimes an idea. Also thinking about bishop d3, developing bishop g4. I'm not sure I want to go for bishop d3 yet. It just allows him to trade off this bishop, which I can harass more with this h4, h5 idea. But I do think I want a castle kingside in this position. So I think I do want to develop my dark square bishop first. So bishop f4 or bishop g5. I think bishop g5 is a little bit better. It just makes it slightly harder for him to develop. So now there's a pin. He has to move his e-pawn in order to develop his own dark square bishop. And now that my bishop is on g5, he maybe can't take such an aggressive posture with his bishop. Maybe he'll opt to break the pin rather than attack. We'll see. H4, probably h6. h6 is a move he wants to play anyway. So I think I will play bishop d3 now. Bishop d3. What other candidate moves? h4, I don't think I like. Queen d2, maybe? Seems early to develop the queen. It also puts it a knight's jump away. Let's go for this. Now, I've only played a couple games on this account. Normally, my rating is closer to 1700, but I've won a couple games against higher rated opponents. And when you're just starting out, the rating swings are pretty big on an individual game basis. So 1912 is definitely higher than my actual rating. So I'm playing up. Let's see if I can steal a win from a higher rated opponent. That would be nice. I maybe also could have thought about knight e5 here. Just harassing this bishop a little bit more before I develop my own bishop. But I think this is pretty standard stuff. I'm not sure. My opening knowledge isn't fantastic, but I'm not all that interested in just memorizing a bunch of moves. That's not really the part of chess that I enjoy. Okay, so I think queen d3 here is pretty automatic. Don't want to double the pawns. Okay. C3 seems pretty natural. I can retreat. I can also block with this knight. If I block 94 is never a possibility because that's covered twice. I wouldn't mind a trade of dark square bishops, actually. His pawns are fixed on light squares, so this is his good bishop. I have a pawn on a dark square, so this bishop isn't fantastic, or at least it won't be later in the game. But I do like that this pin is in effect here. Although I'm not sure it will be that good of a pin due to the fact that he can develop his knight to d7. So after knight d7, this pin isn't that effective because he can move his queen without fear of me doubling his kingside pawns. So I'll see if he wants a dark square bishop exchange. I think this is favorable for me. Okay, and how to recapture. I like my queen on a light square coordinating with the pawn. I don't have a bishop on board. Taking with the knight also allows me to get a knight into e4 and prop it up there, since there will be two knights covering e4. Not interested in taking with the king. Take with the knight. He castles. Was that a pre-move? Okay. So I have a 4-on-3 on the queen side. And he has a 4-on-3 on the king side. So let's see. Knight e4. Other knight to e4. I can also think about castling. h3 maybe? I think I can play that at any time. I don't think now is a great time to play it because knight g4 doesn't do all that much at this moment. Maybe rook d1. I think I should castle though. I think I want to get my king to safety. It's a move I know I have to play, so I'll do it. It's flexible that way. Okay, knight d7. This knight doesn't really have any other forward moves besides knight e4. So I think I will bring this knight to e4 rather than the other one. I'm a little bit ahead in development here. I have a slightly better center. A little more space. So I like this position. Maybe something like rook c8. Captures. Okay. Well, I'm happy to improve this knight. Taking with the queen. I don't think that makes any sense. Well, maybe makes some sense, but the queen is pretty good on d3. Okay. Looking for another trade. I think I want to keep some pieces on the board. This could easily fizzle out if it's just major pieces. And I don't love my my rook end games. I'm not very up to speed in rook end games, so I think I do want to keep the knights on. So knight g5, knight c5, knight back to d2. I could also capture, maybe. That just improves his queen unnecessarily. Maybe he's looking to get into d5 here. c4 is a move I do want to play eventually. So Knight c5, b6. Where do I go? I don't see a good move there. Knight g5. There's pressure here, so maybe that's a little annoying for black to deal with. I can always reroute back to f3 and to e5, which will be a nice square because black probably doesn't want to move his f-pawn and weaken e6. We'll do that. Knight here is not possible. g6, okay. Also a weakening move. The dark squares around black's king are pretty weak. So queen h3, maybe? Queen h3, h5. Or maybe just c4. Okay, so c4, queen h3. I could bring my rook in the game. Rook e1. Rook d1. He probably is going to develop his queen to c7 or b6. Probably b6. Pressure on these pawns. Okay. c4, queen b6. b3. Rook here. Rook back. I also can always bring my knight back. So I think c4 is good. I like c4. I don't think queen h3 is that annoying for him. That I didn't expect. Now, if these pawns are traded, the pawn structure is symmetrical with 3 versus 3 on the king side and on the queen side. I'm not sure if I can avoid that. d5 doesn't work. Of course, I can't capture because of the pin. So I think I should bring a rook to the d file. Which rook? If the e file is going to open up, I might want to have a rook to bring to the e file. So I'm thinking rook d1. One candidate move for sure. Maybe knight f3 as well. Knight f3, e4. That's no good. Let's go rook d1. e4 is not possible now. I can also bring my knight back to e4 to prevent e4 if I want. Let's say rook e1, rook e8. I can play knight e4, maybe. If captures, I can take with check and then capture the pawn. Probably a draw. Okay, captures. This seems pretty automatic. And rook d8. So I think I should double here. Threaten to capture, make him capture me. And then if something like this, if he captures, I can recapture rook e1, king f1, maybe f6. Probably not f, probably king f1. That should be fine. These are the kinds of positions where I often get outplayed because I don't calculate. these endgames. So let's try to change that. As expected, h6. Okay. I think knight f3 seems pretty logical here. Knight f3, knight e4. Offers a draw. I want to think about that, actually. I mean, taking a draw is no fun. No, I'm not going to take a draw. I think a draw would be a good result for me, but I'm not going to take it. I'll play knight e4, knight f3, I mean. I just don't want to take a draw so quickly. I want to learn something. I want to try to get better. Okay. Improves the king position. Let's play king f1. King f1, h6 maybe I could also think about. King f1. Yeah, I don't think I need to play h6 at this point in the game. Knight e5. Doesn't do much yet. Although knight e5 and f4 might be an idea. I actually kind of like that construction. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for this. The other thing about pushing f4 is that it gives my king a quicker path to the center. Rather than going king f1, king e, like something like this takes 3 moves to get to d3. It could only take 2 moves. It offers a draw again, okay. I mean, this is probably a draw. But I'm not going to take one. I want to play this out correctly. So if I move the rook, knight e4 is possible. I'm not too worried about that. Knight e4, maybe rook back to d7, and then I have a little pressure. Okay, so let's go f4 as planned. Trying to undermine. Very well. Knight d3 is a move here, maybe. Knight d3, g3, just supporting. Though g3, knight h5 could be annoying. g3, knight h5, maybe rook d7 with pressure here. Takes. Rook takes with check. But my knight is hanging. So something like just moving the king and keeping pressure on the knight. So there's pressure on the knight and pressure on the rook. I think that loses. g3, knight h5. I can also just play rook e1. That loses a pawn. So let's look at knight d3. Knight d3 protects the pawn. What happens after rook d1, though? Rook d1, I can capture this pawn. And I don't think he can quite attack my knight yet. It takes him a couple moves. So I think this is fine. Okay, getting active with the rook. This is defended. Let's see where the rook wants to go after this. C2 maybe? Okay. This is a little bit annoying. I think I should capture this, probably. And now I think this is forced. I can't defend this pawn without losing a2. Okay, so b3, rook takes, knight takes. Or knight takes, rook b2. I think I'd rather lose my a pawn than my b pawn. Keep the pawn island together. The knight also defends b3 from here, and it's attacking this. Okay, fair enough. I don't want to tie my rook down to a2. Knight c1. So knight c1, rook a1. Let's play knight c1. I don't like it at all. There's also this. a4, rook b2, now knight c1 might be a little bit less inconvenient because I can bring the rook to d3 to defend. Yeah. Also, there is no rook b2 because of the knight. There is that move. Now my rook is tied down to the knight. So I need to untangle a little bit here. Okay. So he's looking for the fork here and also attacking the pawn. So let's sidestep. King f1, or sorry, king g1, knight e3, rook e1. I think that's fine. I don't see an immediate loss. I feel like I have been outplayed here. Can I sack a pawn for activity? That's the kind of thing I'd like to do right about now. Okay, so now he's looking for this with the attack on the rook. And also g3, g2. Rook e1. Getting low on time. Black offers a draw. Well, now I feel like I should take it. I feel like I'm much worse in this position. I guess black doesn't think so. What happens after h6? h3, I mean. I'm going to take this. I think I'm worse here. I'm going to take the draw. Let's take a look at this game. So, okay, I'd like to, before I look at the computer analysis, I like to run through myself. Can I move back? Yeah, okay. Go back to the start. All right, so Caro-Kann, standard stuff here. I think this is all theory. I don't know. Bishop g5, I'm not so sure about, but it seemed reasonable at the time. And then I was thinking maybe something like this. Knight e5. And I'm winning the bishop pair. I think that would have been good, but no. Oh, I played a move, so I can't see the rest of the game. Okay, let's look at the analysis then. Bishop g5. It's suggesting bishop d3 instead. Okay. Fair enough. e6. Bishop d3 is best, apparently. What does it think about this knight e5? Thinking. Engine says maybe not so good. Queen b6, maybe. Inaccurate. Queen b6, knight c4, queen c7. That's a weird line. Bishop takes f6. Doubling the pawns. gf6, bishop e2. And maybe black is going to go queenside and attack with the open g-file? I'm not sure. I don't see how that's so bad for white, honestly. But okay. Bishop d3 is best. Bishop takes d3, queen d3. Check, c3. Oh no, I didn't play c3, of course. I thought a dark square bishop exchange would be good. It's saying it's inaccurate though. Bishop e7. So c3, bishop back to e7. Let's look at this line. These pawns nicely offset the bishop. Okay. But we exchanged, and I think this is good for me. I mean, the computer says slight advantage for white. More space, slightly ahead in development with the queen, and the knights are both out here. So, castles, castles. Knight bd7. Knight e4. Also rook ad1. Yeah, logical. Takes, takes. Knight f6. I wanted c3. Okay, I could see it. I mean, it's pretty slow, but it's a slow position, so sure. g6. c4. I'd like to queen e3. Queen e3 allows knight d5 with tempo, but then you go back to d2. That just seems odd to me to allow this. What's the point of allowing this knight to get such a nice square? It says knight f6. Oh, it's black to move. Knight back to f6. Rook a to d1. I kind of prefer the position with c4 in, just controlling the center. I mean, obviously I'm not qualified to disagree with the engine and be right, but I kind of like c4 here. This is a really nice pawn duo, but I suppose after e5 it breaks down a little bit. And since this queen is undefended, c4 maybe was a little bit premature. So rook to d1 first is probably better. Okay. I think that's point taken. e5, rook d1. Takes, 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 takes. And rook a1, and then stuff comes off the board. Black offered a couple draws. Now here is where I started to feel like I was slipping a little bit after this g5 move. I was worried about this line with g3, knight h5, rook d7. Looks like the computer is giving this line actually. G takes d4, and I was thinking about this move, but this loses a piece, I think. And this is what I saw. King g8. And now the knight is attacked, the rook is attacked. So I didn't see that this move was possible. It's actually saying rook b7 is even better. Knight g7 attacking the rook, and now the rook can't defend the knight. Yeah, so that does lose a piece. But I didn't have to capture the pawn. Here after g takes, I could have played... It's actually suggesting rook f7, really? Computer's suggesting rook f7 now. Okay, well now it says it's a mistake. I guess it doesn't see king g8. Now it's not saying rook f7. So now it's saying g takes f4, knight takes f4. And... well, now rook f7. King g8, and you can trade knights. And this is just a draw. So this is, I mean, this is fine. This is playable. But okay, that's not what happened. Now his rook got active. And I didn't like this. This rook was pretty annoying. I think he could have pushed for a lot more here. King f1, trying to defend my pawn and also put pressure on the rook. Rook c2, and f takes g5. Yeah, that's what I played. Okay. Saying b3 is inaccurate. Rook e1 is best. So rook e1, rook takes c4, and then rook e5. King g6, rook c5, rook c5, knight c5. And this seems like it's just a draw. Yeah. So a little bit of an easier draw that way. But he didn't, so he didn't capture the pawn. He just went b6. a4. I didn't want my rook to be tied down. So instead I tied down my knight. Suggesting a5 rather. a5 just seems like an admission that you're losing though. I feel like. Rook b3. And the computer says h3. Yeah. I don't like this. This doesn't seem like a fighting chance. So b6, a4, rook c3, knight c1, knight g4, looking for this fork again. So sidestepping both with king g1. It says king e1 is even better, allowing him to capture the pawn. I wasn't about to do that, but that actually kind of makes sense. King e1 looking for king to d2 and putting pressure on the rook, kicking it away from this third rank. Knight takes knight h2, king d2, but then just this, and black is up a pawn with a super active rook. This is no good. So king g1 I feel is more practical. Rook c2. It's saying knight e3 first. Yeah. Knight e3 first is much better. Because rook e1 now prevents knight e3. Yeah, after rook c2, knight e3 can be prevented. So knight e3 first is much better. So rook e1. Oh, rook c2, rook e1. King g6, and black offered a draw, I believe. And I took it. Computer says h3. Yeah, knight h6. But even in this position, my rook is tied down to the knight, which is tied down to the pawn. It's saying knight d3, but then rook c3, and I basically just have to go back. Oh, but there's a check, I see. There's a check. Knight e5, king f6, and knight c6 going after that pawn. So the game could have continued, but I'd definitely take a draw over this position any day. All right, Well, let's look at this. 91.5% accurate. Anything over 90, honestly, I will take. That's pretty good for me. Yeah, and as you can see, black was definitely better here. Maybe even winning at some points. But they continue to offer draws, so at some point, I'll take it. Well, all right. That's it for this video. Let me know if you enjoyed. Leave a comment with feedback. If you liked the video, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.